Chay Yeager is done for 2026, and honestly, this one stings a little. Not because he was some guaranteed ace waiting in the wings, not because the Blue Jays' rotation collapses without him, but because you watch a young guy grind his way through the minors, earn a spring training invite, finally get his shot at proving something on a big league level, and then the whole thing gets ripped away before it even really starts. That's the brutal side of this sport that nobody talks about enough. Let me take you back to last week. Yeager is out there in a live batting practice session, right elbow starts barking at him, and immediately the alarm bells go off. When you hear elbow discomfort in a pitcher, you already know where your mind goes. Every baseball fan, every scout, every pitching coach, they all know what that usually means. Arden Zwelling, who covers the Blue Jays and is one of the more plugged-in reporters on that beat, put out a report saying surgery was still on the table. And when you read that phrase, surgery still on the table, you're hoping somehow it works out differently. You're hoping it's just inflammation, just some soreness, something that responds to treatment and rest. It didn't work out differently. Wednesday confirmed what a lot of people probably feared. UCL surgery, Tommy John. Chay Yeager is out for the rest of the 2026 season. He's 25 years old, 25. The Blue Jays brought him to big league camp last month, which is already a statement in itself. Organizations don't hand out spring training invites just to hand them out. There's intent behind it. There's a message being sent to the player and to the rest of the system. We see you, we believe in what you're building, now come show us. And Yeager had earned that invite through real production in the minors. Look at what he did last season. Split time between the Vancouver Canadians and the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. Two completely different levels of competition, two completely different environments, and he handled both. Finished with a 5-4 record, worked mostly out of the bullpen, posted a 2.75 ERA. That ERA is not an accident. That's not a guy getting lucky with sequencing or benefiting from an easy schedule. That's a pitcher who understands his craft, who knows how to get hitters out, who's figured out something that works at the minor league level and was starting to translate it upward. He also piled up 8 save opportunities. That's meaningful context. Saves at that level mean the organization trusts you in high-leverage situations. They're not throwing a guy out there in the 9th inning with the game on the line if they don't believe in him, mentally and physically. Yeager was that guy. And then he got called up to the big leagues in 2024 as well, so this isn't someone who's never sniffed the majors. He's been there. He knows what it looks like. Now, here's something worth being honest about. Would Chay Yeager have made the opening day roster for Toronto this year? Probably not a guarantee. The Blue Jays have decisions to make across their entire pitching staff, and there's competition at every level. Spring training for a guy in his position is less about locking down a roster spot and more about putting yourself in the conversation, showing the coaching staff and front office something they can't ignore, creating opportunities that didn't exist before. That's what this invite was. It was a chance, and getting those chances in baseball, real legitimate chances to compete at the big league level, they don't come around constantly. You have to grab them when they show up. He won't get to grab this one. That's the hard truth of the situation. UCL surgery, for those who don't follow the injury side of baseball closely, is essentially the defining injury of pitching in modern baseball. The recovery timeline typically runs somewhere around 12 to 18 months, depending on the individual, the surgeon, the rehab process, how the body responds. So we're not just talking about missing 2026. We could be talking about him working his way back into competitive action sometime in 2027. An entire year of development, an entire year of competition, 2 full seasons potentially affected, all because of a ligament the size of your thumb. The mental side of this gets overlooked constantly in these conversations. People talk about the physical recovery, the rehab protocol, the mechanics adjustments guys sometimes make post-surgery, but the mental grind of Tommy John is something else entirely. You spend months doing exercises that feel completely disconnected from actually pitching. You watch your teammates compete. You watch other guys get opportunities that you feel like you should be in the running for. You have to stay locked in on a process that is painfully slow and sometimes doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. The guys who come out the other side of Tommy John stronger are the ones who figured out how to use that time rather than just survive it. And here's where I'll give Yeager some credit because it's warranted. He's already proven he can handle adversity. Minor league baseball is not glamorous. You're not making real money. You're traveling on buses. You're playing in front of sparse crowds. And you're competing against dozens of other guys for a handful of spots. He's stuck through all of that, put up the numbers, earned the call-ups, earned the spring training invite. The mental toughness required to get to where he was heading into 2026 doesn't disappear because of an injury. It's still there. That's still who he is. Tommy John's surgery has also evolved significantly over the years. The outcomes are better than they used to be. Pitchers come back from this procedure regularly and return to pre-injury performance levels, sometimes even improve, because the rehab process forces them to work on mechanical efficiency and overall arm care in ways they might not have prioritized before. We've seen it across the league repeatedly. This is not a career-ending diagnosis. It's a brutal setback, but it's survivable, and plenty of pitchers have come out the other side and had long, productive careers. Yeager has age on his side too, which matters more than people sometimes acknowledge. He turns 25 this year, which means even if he misses all of 2026 and needs a full 12 to 18 months of recovery, he comes back at 26 or 27 with potentially multiple big league seasons still ahead of him. His path to contributing at the major league level isn't closed. It's delayed, which feels devastating in the moment but looks different when you zoom out and consider the full arc of a career. What this does affect is his timeline within the organization. Prospects have windows, and the clock on those windows doesn't stop just because someone gets hurt. Other pitchers in the Blue Jays system will continue developing. The roster decisions the front office makes this year and next year will happen without Yeager in the conversation. By the time he's healthy and working his way back, the organizational landscape might look different. That's a real challenge he'll need to navigate. But again, he's already navigated challenges. The guy was a 12th round pick in 2023. Do you know how many 12th round picks make it anywhere near the big leagues? The draft is deep, and most guys selected outside the first few rounds never see a major league mound. Yeager has already beaten those odds to some degree just by getting to where he was before this injury happened. The tools are there. The results in the minor leagues back it up. The Blue Jays clearly believed in what they were seeing, which is why the invite existed in the first place. So, where does this leave the Blue Jays? From a roster construction standpoint, they lose a potential bullpen arm who was developing into someone worth watching. They still have other options, other arms competing for spots, and the organization isn't going to crumble because of this one injury. But you don't replace a guy with a 2.75 ERA and demonstrated high leverage experience at the minor league level by just snapping your fingers. That kind of production means something. The hope for Yeager is that he has a smooth surgery, a clean recovery, and that when he gets back on a mound, everything that made him effective before the injury is still there. The slider still has life. The command is still sharp. The mentality that got him through 4 years of minor league baseball is still intact. If all of that holds, there's no reason he can't work his way back into the Blue Jays picture in 2027 and eventually carve out a real big league role. It's a brutal way to start a season for him. There's no sugarcoating that. But the story isn't over, not even close.